So I figured it was about time to do an update on the Blu-ray because I've been only updating on Indiegogo. This is going to be a long drawn out video full of details and technical stuff. I kind of debated whether or not I wanted to put that in, and I decided that, if you bought a Blu-ray, you might be interested in that sort of thing. I should probably go ahead and explain it a little bit. If you're not interested in the Blu-ray or any of this stuff, well, then we have a new episode of The Game Chasers in a couple of days. So hopefully that'll settle your appetite for new content. Anyway, so long story short, these Blu-rays were a living nightmare to make. These are the first Blu-rays I've ever done, and I thought it would just be like, I've done 3 DVD sets now, and I figured it would just be like doing a DVD set. Well, yes and no. There are a lot of things that I didn't know about going into this thing that could have saved me a lot of headaches down the road, and I just simply, from lack of experience, I did not know. And I'll get into all that, but what I want to start this off by saying is that the Blu-rays are actually done on my end. I've authored them. I've had them done for like a couple of weeks now. They're in the hands of the manufacturer's plant right now. They're supposed to give me a sample this week so I can actually watch them and make sure there are no errors or anything, because I gave them files, and so they gotta, I don't want them to mass produce these things in case there's something wrong. So I'm going to get that on Thursday, give them the okay, and then boom, they're gonna mass produce them. So the last couple of weeks they've been going through this process of getting the stuff ready to do that. Unfortunately, the thing that's causing the biggest headache is the digibooks. And the reason for that, broken down in the simplest terms, is when it comes to the digibooks, the company that we use and have been using to do our DVDs and now our Blu-rays to manufacture them, they don't do the binding with the book. They don't make those things. And so when we went to ask them if they could do it, they said, sure, but we're going to have to outsource it. So that thing has been outsourced to a third party, a different company. And essentially our DVD company is the middleman. So they'll work on some, go to the middleman, and then go back to me. And it's this process that you can understand how that would take a little bit longer with the middleman. But there are things about it that I can't really discuss, not with you guys, but with them, like things I don't know about when it comes to making these sort of things. So I can't go directly to them. I have to have that middleman to basically tell me, okay, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do. It's kind of the jumbled, complicated freaking mess, but I'm simplifying things tremendously. But understand that that's a big bulk of why the digibooks are taking a little bit longer than the other ones, and why they're going to take a little bit longer after this. Don't get me wrong, they're not like going to take forever after this point. It seems like we've been working on these things forever, but we're on the home stretch here. And I actually have some things to look at here. So here's the regular DVD, the regular Blu-ray edition. So this is no, there's no discs in here yet, but this is what the packaging is. So I got a sample of that today to give it the A-OK, and it meets my approval, so we're good with that. Now here's the issue with the digibooks. And I say issue, but it's kind of just like, it's not really so much an issue as it's a process. Because I have something envisioned how I wanted you guys to have, what I wanted to give you guys. And I have to make sure that vision is acceptable. I have to make sure that it is what I want it to be, because I know, I look at it this way: if I would want something like that, I want it to be something I would want. I want it to be something that I would go out and purchase. If it doesn't meet my standards, I'm not going to give it to you guys and have it try to hope that it meets your standards. So the issue, they will do a version, a sample, and then they'll send it to our DVD person, who will then send it to me. So I have to drive down there, take a look, and say, okay, no, we need to change this, we need to adjust this a little bit. And so he sends the message to the other company, and then they do it. The only problem is that company takes a week or two to do another example, send it back to me. I'm like, okay, you fix that, but now there's this. And so that process of making a change and then getting it back and then making another change and getting it back. You know, that's just weeks and weeks and weeks. And this has been going on for a while now. But like I said, we're on the home stretch. But this is like the first version that was given to me. And obviously you can see it's not good. But I mean, the pages, the binding was awful. I didn't like how this was binded together. There needs to be stuff here, not just blank. And so I was like, well, that's trash. We're not using that. And there's been several editions after that. This is the latest one that I got. And it's got this purple thing here. And the binding on it is just awful. I guess I can show you like the first couple pages, but the binding on here is awful. It just does not look good at all in my opinion. So I'm going to have them change that. And I know a lot of you guys are probably just sitting here watching this. I don't care. I just want this. I want this. And I get that, but we're just need to wait a little bit longer because I want this. You guys spent money on this thing, and I want it to meet your standards, and I want it to be something that we can all be proud of. I'm not this could have been done months ago, but I'm like, no, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. So I'm not going to give you a shitty product. I'm going to give you the best absolute product that we can get. And my DVD guy, he agrees, and he's the one that pointed out that, hey, I don't think that this is going to work, because even he saw the stitching on this thing and was like, that's not going to work. So he's currently telling the guy that's making these, or the company that's making these, look, we got to come up with another way of doing this. So they're working on that right now. And I also want them to trim this down, because in my opinion it's a little too big. I want them to do that. If they're able to, then great. If not, then that's not going to be one of those things that's like, okay, I'm going to wait another couple of weeks, because that's just kind of like a minor nitpicky thing. There is also an issue with the surface of it. So as you can see, there's like little scuffs right here. The material that they used is apparently really easy to scratch if it's like, well, we're going to be mailing these things, so there's a chance for them to get a little scuffed up there. But just normal shelfware, putting this on your shelf, it could potentially chew that up pretty good. So what we did was we went over different finishes for it. So we're actually going to spend a little bit extra here and give you guys some scratch resistant finishes, and these are some examples that he gave me. Here's a UV one. Here's another one. I'm not sure what 1.2 is. I think it's just a kind of different variation of the gloss, but there's the glossy one, and here's the matte finish. I personally like the matte finish, so I think we're going to go with the matte finish. I'm not sure if it's coming through really good on the camera, but it's got this really cool sheen to it. It's really nice looking, but it is scratch resistant, so we're going to pay a little extra to get that coating on there for you guys, so hopefully you can pull this in and out of your DVD shelf or whatever and not scuff it up. I don't think I've even talked on video about this since the campaign itself, but we actually advertised 12 pages on the Indiegogo, but we upped it to 24 pages, so this thing's got 24 pages in it now. I want to show you guys, because I spent a while designing these things. I think it's my greatest graphical design work, but I can't really spoil it for you guys, right? So and then there's this on the back cover. There's this painting that I did that I'm just like, this is one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. But yeah. And so we got in the front, there's all the contributors that we had here on the digibook. And a cool little, I'm showing too much. I'm showing too much. I can't show too much anyway. But yeah, there's that. So hopefully, I was told probably next week I will be able to see the next version of the digibook. And I'm hoping that all these things are fixed, so I can just be like, boom, we're done, mass produce. And so they will start churning these things out. And once in the whole process of approving and getting everything right is the long drawn out part. Once they have something approved, they can start mass producing it. That's when it goes really quick. They can have these things churned out in probably a week or so. So that's the status of those. And there's this kind of effed up story that's kind of funny but kind of sad at the same time. When I mentioned this in the first part of the video, I said that there were some things about Blu-ray that I had no idea about. And it reared its ugly head right at the end of this entire project, which really, really sucked. So I was authoring the Blu-ray discs themselves. Most of you probably already know this, but I build these things from scratch. That's why they take so long. And so I use Adobe products, Adobe Encore. Now, Adobe products are professional grade products. They're not some kind of BS, free products and stuff that you pirate. Well, I guess you could pirate it, but we actually legit pay a monthly subscription to these things. But it's Adobe Encore. It's Adobe products. These are professional. The professional movie studios use, professional companies use these products. So it stands to reason that it would be compliant with anything that I would need in terms of replicating. So here's what basically happened. I got so mad too. And this is where it gets kind of technical, so you'll probably tune out of the video. But for those of you interested, there are 2 different ways to mass produce a disc, whether it be Blu-ray or DVD. But in this case, we'll talk about Blu-ray. There's duplication and there's replication. Duplication is the kind of the cheap way to doing it. It's like you burn something in a blank, you get a blank disk, burn it off your computer. That's duplication, and you keep doing that over and over again. Replication is the professional method. It's the method which, all the Blu-rays that you would find on Amazon, or, you walk into a Best Buy, that's major studio companies are going to replicate them. And by that, they have a glass master in which they're assured that the data is correct and replicated, and there's no errors on it each and every time, and doesn't degrade or anything. And so obviously we're going to go with replication, because we're not going to sit there and do it the cheap way and have potentially some of you guys get it and the discs not work, because that happens with the cheap way duplication. And this is not me actually duplicating and burning. It's the company that we use. They do both methods. Adobe Encore format, when you author a Blu-ray, it formats it in a way where it can literally only be duplicated. It can't be replicated the professional way. I did not know this. I dropped, this was a couple of weeks ago, I was like spent all 3 days probably not sleeping at all. Finally had these discs done. Had Jay drop them off at the DVD manufacturing plant, and then you can't imagine the relief. It's just like, boom, they're done. It's over with. 6 months of work, finally finished. And a couple of days later, I get a call from my Blu-ray guy, who basically tells me we can't use these. They're authored in a way where it's only duplication. I pretty much had a freaking nervous breakdown right there. I was like, what? Because essentially what he told me was 6 months of work was down the drain. Can you imagine that? Sitting there and hearing that 6 months of work is down the drain. Because these things were created, built in a program that can't be. I can't go back and redo it in a program that makes these files in the way that can be replicated. Because I'm essentially having to start over. There are programs that, like Sony's, which by the way owns Blu-ray, their editing software, which that's what major studios apparently use, I learned. They make their the discs that are authored in that are able to be replicated. Funny enough, of course, right? But it's first of all, it's like a $3,000 whatever program. Even if I was to go and buy that right now, we're talking about me having to literally start over and spend another 6 months making these damn things again. I wasn't cool with that, and I know you guys wouldn't be cool with that. So I was literally for about 10 to 15 minutes thinking to myself, that's the only option I have, and I'm fucked. And I just fucking lost my fucking mind. But fortunately, thank God, I started researching a little bit, and my DVD guy was like, we had this problem before with someone. I know a guy in New York who could possibly convert them for you. Basically take the discs that I made and convert it to the file format that it needs to be in order for them to be able to be replicated. And I'm like, great, okay, well, that's better than me starting from scratch. And he was like, okay, it'll be $2,000, and you gotta ship this stuff to New York, and he's gotta basically rebuild it or build it himself. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm thinking to myself, I don't trust some guy in New York to rebuild these Blu-rays in the way that they're supposed to be. What do you know? That's not happening. I mean, forget the money. At that point, it's like, okay, fine, we'll pay the $2,000. That's gonna suck. But if that's what it has to be, then that's what it has to be. What other option is there other than me starting over? But having somebody take the discs and rebuild them in the file format, I can't even fathom letting somebody do that. I get the discs back, and there's like, I have to hope that they're the way that I need them to be and the way they're supposed to be, and nothing's screwed up in them. I don't trust anybody with doing that other than me. If something's gonna get fucked up around here, I'm the motherfucker that's gonna fuck it up. I'm not letting anybody else fuck it up. So at this point, I still feel like I have no options. And then so I started researching a little bit more, went onto the Adobe forums, and apparently other Adobe members were bitching about this same thing, because it literally makes no sense that Adobe Encore would not be able to do this. And so the more I started researching it, I came across this program that was a $600 program that's supposed to take your discs, or not necessarily discs, but the burns, essentially, the folders of the Blu-ray that you have, and just you put them in there, you press a button, and out churns the files that you need that you can put in a folder and have them replicated the way we need them to be replicated at the manufacturing plant at that point. And so, there were so many red flags on this page too. It looked like this company looked like it was just not even a company, just some dude with a Neo GeoCities website with a PayPal or a checkout link. I was like, okay, buying this thing, hope that I get it and hope that it works. But it was Mac. I use PC, and it was a Mac only. So I called my good friend Joe Redifer from GameSack, who has made a Blu-ray on their show, so he has some experience doing this, and he didn't have to go through this process because he sent it to Screenwave and they all took care of it. I still don't know what all that was, but anyway, he didn't have to go through the BS that I went through. But he was just, if it wasn't for Joe, you probably wouldn't be getting these Blu-rays right now. But Joe was like, look, I'll split the cost with you and I'll install it. Just overnight me the data, because these are 2 Blu-ray discs. And so I had to put them on a hard drive because my internet, there's no way I'd be able to transfer almost 100 gigs because I was trying to do this as quickly as possible, because we're on a time crunch here. I want these things out. I wasn't going to wait another 4 or 5 days. So I overnighted a hard drive to Joe Redifer. He downloaded the program, took the Blu-ray folders, converted them, and I'm not even going to get into the whole headache of us deciding whether or not this was actually going to work or not, because there were some issues with layers and all this other BS, and we're just sitting here. Joe could not get it to work on his Blu-ray, the one that he burned, because he still had the folders on his computer. He couldn't get it to work with his. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, if this doesn't fucking work. But it worked. He got the footage. He got the folders. He got the hard drive. He got the folders. He converted them, both discs, into the file formats that they needed to be in, and overnighted them back to me. And I sent it to the DVD company, our manufacturing plant. And the last I heard was that we're good to go, and that they're able to work with them now. So I think through that whole process, I probably got a little bit grayer, lost a little bit of hair, because the amount of sheer stress was insurmountable. Like, I just wanted to go to a cave and just like rot. Yeah. Oh man. 6 months of work being told that it was going down the drain. So anyway, I'm making this video right now as an update to let you guys know what was going on, and hopefully you understand that, you know, we could have taken the original formatted discs that I originally made in Encore and had them duplicated the cheap way, but I wanted to spend extra time, more money, getting these things replicated for you guys, because replication is where it's at. I'm not going to give you coasters, which in the duplication process, like I said, there's always a chance that, you know, you guys get the discs and it doesn't work. I mean, if you're still interested at this point, just look up the difference between replication and duplication on Blu-rays, and it's just, if you have to replicate them. So I hope that you guys understand that, yes, it is taking longer than I initially estimated, but it's all in the name of giving you the best product that we could possibly give you. So I apologize. I should have gone into this knowing a little bit more than I initially knew, which was apparently not much. I didn't know that the replication process involved those certain files, and I didn't know that Encore didn't do those certain files. So, and there's other things along the road that have been little roadblocks, but nothing like that. Nothing that much of a kick to the nuts. So hopefully, like I said, you guys understand where we're coming from, and I think anyone who has bought a DVD from us in the past, you understand the amount of work and care and detail we put into these things, and this is no different. It's just a different way of going about making them, because I'm all new to the Blu-ray. Great thing is, though, is when it comes to season 5, if you guys are even interested in season 5. When it comes to that, I already got some things under my sleeve to make it more streamlined, simpler. I don't think we'll be doing digibooks, but I definitely want to get that thing started relatively soon and work on it a little bit over the course of the next 4, 5, 6, 7 months or whatever. And then once the pre-order starts for that, almost have it done. I'm not going to actually start the pre-orders until it's almost done on the season 5. So I don't want to go through this again. I gave it my best estimate on when I thought I could have these things done, and I was extremely wrong. And I just hope that you guys understand why after watching this video, and can accept my apology for being so grossly wrong with my estimate. But I just these will be in your hands soon, and I just hope that you guys like them and have fun with them. There's a lot of stuff hidden, and there's a lot of I think you really like the actual choose your own adventure game. Had fun making that one, and spent a ton of time on that. So I don't know if I'll be doing one of those again, because it is a headache and a half. But actually, funny enough, the making of the Blu-ray is actually on the Blu-ray itself, a little bit anyway. So anyway, thanks for sitting through this video if you actually sat through it, and these Blu-rays will be in your hand pretty soon. It's not much longer.